This is the Russell's Reserve 13-year Batch 6. So this is the 2025 edition, and it is officially the new king of highest proof Russell's Reserve ever released. Previously, that was the single Rickhouse Camp Nelson B. Old Bruce Russell, he's starting to push some higher proof product out of Wild Turkey, so we're now clocking in at 123.8 proof. Turkey's getting a little spicy. We're going to ask a simple question. On this 2-Minute Tuesday, what are the notes, taste, nose, and is this thing worth chasing after as it is starting to hit the market? It's not even released in Washington yet, by the way. I had to have a friend down in Oregon hook me up with this thing, so thanks, buddy. A little background on Russell's 13-year. Previously, these were all at the exact same proof, and there have been 5 previous batches, with no Russell's 13 having been released in 2024. Instead, we got Russell's 15. As should be obvious by the fact that it's Russell's 13, it's a 13-year or older product within the blend, and some of the previous editions contain some fairly old juice, including upwards of 20-year Russell's Reserve product. The Russell's Reserve LEs have a number of different kind of striations. You have like the single rickhouse where every barrel is taken from the exact same rickhouse. You have the 13-year where they're blended from multiple, and then you have the 15, which apparently is just going to be a one-off and we're probably not going to see ever again. But all that matters is in the end, it all comes from the base mash bill of your standard Russell's Reserve 10-year. It's just more carefully selected barrels and higher age statements. And often, of course, because it's not watered down to that 100 proof, higher proof points. Let's crack this bad boy open, get to the notes. Now, the 5 previous batches of Russell's Reserve 13-year came at 114.8 proof. So we're dialing up nearly 10 proof points to get to our 123.8. 9-point increase from the old 114. Now, the question is, does that proof change completely alter the profile? One thing that a lot of the Russell's 13 is previously known for is this really good cherry note, plenty of oak, sometimes almost getting tannic. And then a lot of the usual kind of things you get out of Russell's Reserve, little bit of spiciness to it, a lot of like your kind of turkey funk, right? These are the normal things, but the big thing is usually a big cherry and oak note are kind of dominating the palate. So the question is, once we get to this new higher proof version, does that change? So let's kick off 2-Minute Tuesday. Really beautiful color, kind of as you would expect. So we got for viscosity on this thing. Way better see the legs coming through in the viscosity right now. Let's get on the nose. There's definitely a bit of spice on the nose. What I'm not getting is that like signature cherry that I'm really used to in the previous 5 batches. There's a bit more vanilla than I'm used to, and I would argue that the fruit note that is there is more like appley and maybe even like a little hint of strawberry, but not the big kind of in-your-face cherry note I'm used to out of turkey. And there's definitely a little bit of like oak sweetness coming through. Yeah, there's mostly spice. That's the kind of predominant note is some spice, a little bit of vanilla, oak, and touch of those kind of like softer, like I said, apple and strawberry fruit notes. Let's try it on the palate. Oh, spicy boy. On the palate right away. Huge in my face spicy note. Not a bad spicy note. This is like turkey for me kind of has this signature spiciness to it, especially when you get to like Wild Turkey 101 or even some of the 8-year Wild Turkey. And that's something that Jimmy Russell is kind of known for choosing out of his bourbons, as he likes spicier notes. Really prevalent on the palate here, but once you get through that, the next thing you get is a lot of the like wood sugar and oak influence. It's a touch of vanilla, a little bit of brown sugar going on. Definitely lots of oak. It's not on the verge of tannic like some of the previous ones have been. And an example I would give you too is like batch 2, Russell's 13, toward the tail end it gets a little tannic and normal bitter. So really nice balance comparative. It's funny because like there's a little like appliness or strawberry on the nose, but there's like the tiniest cherry note in the actual palate. As you get toward the finish, a little bit of that turkey funk does start to show up, but it's pretty mellow and chilled out the whole thing through, all the way into the finish. And it lingers pretty nicely, which is great, is that spiciness. Overall score on this bad boy, a 79. This is pretty good, but is it $200 good? Because that's pretty much what MSRP is for these things now. I know in some places you can get it a little cheaper, but my understanding that's what it's going to be MSRP in Washington. I think it's good whiskey. And to be very clear, like on my 0 to 100 scale, 50 is like baseline good, decent whiskey. And then from there, as you get to your striations, it's just better and better levels of good, great versus like incredible and once in a lifetime level, which is your like very high 90s into 100 is your kind of once in a lifetime level whiskeys. So scoring a 79 is not a bad thing. Where I kind of dock this down, it's missing that big cherry note that I really like out of the previous Russell's 13s. Can I help you, Corgi? My Corgi's at my feet. You'll have to excuse me. He's like trying to figure out what's going on. The more that I sip this, it's reminding me of the 12-year Wild Turkey 101 import from Japan that you can get just proofed up. There's very similar notes, which I would argue is a very good thing, because I think anybody who knows and has had it, that Wild Turkey 12 year is amazing, and it's something to like really chase after. Where this is just like a dialed up barrel proof version of it. It does have that much more spice forward, like I said, kind of Wild Turkey 12 year profile going on, and I do like that quite a lot. I kind of give it a little bump up. I don't penalize it as harshly, but the thing where I'm going to penalize it, and I think back to like the Remus Experimental that I had recently, that was lower proof at 107. I feel like that was taking me on more of an interesting ride than this is, and that's $70 whiskey, and this is $200 whiskey. So in that regard, I feel like it's really hard to rate this higher than that Remus Experimental, but it is a very different flavor profile, and I want to be really clear about that, right? You're talking about MGP done in like completely different barreling compared to what is usual for their products, where they're using a cognac and wine cask maker to their barrels, but this has a lot of like signature turkey things, and I think if you're a big Wild Turkey fan, you're going to love this. And I want to be very clear, I'm a Wild Turkey fan, and I am not upset that I had this in my hands. I would be happy to pay for this because one, I'm a giant Russell's nerd and I love having it, but I feel like it is that thing that you can take to a share and everybody is going to enjoy it and like it. You can set that aside, and that's your kind of your special pour for a week, a month, whatever it may be. Maybe you do it on your holidays. Maybe you're like not trying to go quite as crazy on your celebratory pours. This would make a great celebratory pour because it is a barrel proof version of the turkey profile done very, very well. And one thing I should note, and I kind of didn't say this in the tasting notes, is that like despite being that 123.8 proof, it's not blowing my palate out. It's not super hot. It's the big in my face spice note is not something where I'm like I can taste nothing else. That's important. If it drinks relatively calm and not super ethanol-y, when we start getting into those 120 plus proofs, I feel like that is a big positive. And that's one thing that this bottle is definitely doing very well. If you like the turkey profile, you want something a little more proof, you want a kind of celebratory pour, or maybe you want something really cool to take to a share, try to track one of these down if you can, assuming it's not out of your price range. The alternative, I would say, to this is go find the Wild Turkey 12. There's a number of people that have them online, and you can get that for like $140 compared to $200 on this. Now you're losing some proof, but you have a really, really similar flavor profile, just at a more mellow proof at 101. So you can kind of weigh that and decide, like, if you like lower proof things, maybe you go toward that instead of this Russell's 13. I'd like to hear from you guys in the comments down below. Have you had an opportunity to try this wonderful latest release of the Russell's Reserve 13? What do you think of the proof increase? Really curious to hear. Hopefully for some of you out there who've like maybe never seen a Russell's 13, maybe there's a bit more of this and it becomes a little easier to find. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a like. And if you're not subscribed, consider subscribing. It's one of the absolute best ways. It's completely free to help us small YouTubers grow. And of course, that helps us keep doing things without crazy sponsorships and, you know, seeing Z-Biotics everywhere. And I'm sure you're tired of that by now. Because I know I am. If you haven't already, there's going to be a link to the 500 subscribers giveaway. I'm giving away a number of flights of samples of whiskey. One's going to include Russell's 13, and since I finally got my hand on the newest one, I think we're going to change it up. I was originally thinking one of the first early batches, but we'll change it to this sample right here. So you'll have Camp Nelson B and this to compare side by side. Once we hit 1,000 subscribers, I'm going to give away a bottle of E.H. Taylor, a single barrel, and a few other cool things. As always, my friends, thank you so much for watching, and stay awesome.